For generations, the worst among us have contrived to tear our social and political fabric apart to benefit the few over the many. Their intent and mission have been diabolically simple: divide and conquer. And they have been wildly successful. Hi, I'm Michael James Ott, veteran, retired engineer and businessman, and now ambassador and facilitator for the solution to this madness: citizen statesmanship. The vast majority of people from all corners of the globe are just like you and me. Extraordinary, so-called ordinary people. Join us in our quest to recreate the political landscape, eliminating the tribal hostilities and warfare incited for centuries by the label and blame mantra of our traditional leaders. Now is the time to end the atrocities of god-awful leadership, launching a final and lasting divorce from tyranny. All driven by everyday citizens, driven by you and me. It's the Pro and Con Show, brought to you today and every day by Citizen Statesmanship, the cure for what ails us. Hey there, welcome to the Pro and Con Show. I'm Michael James Ott.
And I'm Ben McLaughlin, and we're your co-hosts for today's show.
It's important to say that supporting and spreading the word about citizen statesmanship is important and impactful.
Exactly.
Subscribe to our podcast. Talk to your friends and family about our only chance for brighter tomorrows. Become, like us, ambassadors and facilitators for citizen statesmanship.
Exactly.
This is the solution. This is the only chance for brighter tomorrows. Citizen statesmanship is the cure for what ails us. It is the antibiotic for our infections. It is the perfectly targeted chemotherapy for our cancer. It is the wildly successful vaccinations against polio and smallpox. It is the miracle pill that is going to cure what has ailed our societies for centuries. Ben and I have taken it.
Yes, sir.
But we need more people. We all must take it. We must inoculate ourselves.
Yes.
We must inoculate ourselves against, our whole society against
especially now,
the small percentage of people that have been ruining things for us for a long, long time. Okay, so today's topic is, yes, you have an opinion, but. Yes, you have an opinion, but. And what we're going to talk about here is just, again, kind of a freewheeling conversation here is how, and you out in the audience, whether you're watching or listening, think about how you come up with your opinions. Give it some thought, some self-reflection on how you come to form your opinions. And this whole show is going to be talking about that, and the reason why this is important is because your opinions end up driving what you do in society, especially on an important level like how you vote, or whether or not you come join us in supporting the citizen statesmanship paradigm that we're pressing for. So just to help illustrate the problem or a potential problem, I'm going to go way back, get in the way back machine.
The way back.
Go way back to a long time ago in my life, and a particular episode that happened, and I just happened to be a witness to it. It was in my family, okay? So this was many, many years ago, and one of my brothers he loved cars, and he was always messing around with stuff. And I think...
Good man.
Well, everybody has their things, right?
Oh,
and so
yeah.
this is his thing, and even to this day, he's very inclined to mess around with vehicles and stuff all the time. But anyway, so back in the day, he was like 12 or 13, and he strapped a lawnmower engine to a bicycle and made a motorcycle. Well, a few years later, he's now on his, and this is just a couple years later, he's on his like 5th or 6th vehicle that he's messing with.
Mhm.
And he's constantly, I mean, he has no fear, he has no limits. He'll yank the engines out, he'll tear the transmissions apart. He's just, tearing this stuff apart, and he's pretty good at it.
It's a talent.
He's constantly fixing stuff. And I don't even remember the make and model of this car, but so he's got this car, and the brakes have some problems, and so he's worked on the brakes. And I think he's replaced like the brake pads and stuff. And so now he's test driving the car, and he's gone around the block a couple of times, and he comes back in, and my dad happened to be there, and my mom and I. So the 4 of us are sitting there, and so my father and my brother get into a conversation about, well, what's going on with the car? And my brother's like, I don't know what the heck is going on. He's like, I've put the brakes back together again, and I've been driving the car around the block and stuff, and it's just like lurching and like this.
So I'm just holding it back.
Something's like keeps calling it to stop and go and stop. It's like it's really lurching really bad, and I took the stupid brakes back apart, and I looked at him, and I'm like, I don't know. Well, my mother is sitting there, and she said, wow, so your car is lurching, huh? And he goes, yeah. And she goes, well, Betty down the street, she was just telling me that her car was lurching like that. And in the end, it ended up being the PCV valve. And my brother's like, Mom, but the PCV valve is like associated with the engine. And the engine isn't like stalling or lurching or anything. It's the brakes that are, the car's lurching because of the brakes. And she goes, well, it doesn't sound that way to me. It sounds like just exactly as how Betty down the street described her car.
Never mind all those cars you fix.
And so yes, let me go down that a little bit. So my mother, by the way, has never touched a car, ever, right? I mean, other than sat in one.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point in her life, she'd never even put gas in one.
Oh, wow.
Ever. She never took a tire off or changed the oil or in any way, shape, or form had done anything mechanically other than to get in, right? And sit and then get back out again. This is her experience with cars. Meanwhile, my brother, okay, so admittedly he's only like 16 or 15 or 16 at this time, but he's been working on cars like crazy for 4 or 5
still a
years
pretty good
already.
achievement there.
So he's like, oh, okay, and so then my father and my brother start talking, a little bit about, and they start talking about like details of the brakes. Meanwhile, my mother, and I'm sitting there watching this, and my mother is just, you can just see the steam building up inside of her, because she's there. She just is, they're not listening to me, and okay, so and again, it's all part about you have an opinion. How strong is your opinion, and do you deserve to have that strength of your opinion? So the other thing about it is my mother is like, well, this is my son. He's a lot younger than me. And so I think there's a little bit of, he should be listening to me. I'm the parent. But anyway, so this goes on for a little bit. And finally, my mother just explodes. And she goes, you should, go get a PCV valve and change it. And you'll see that this is, that this will fix it. Just go do it. And,
man.
And my brother, and she's furious, she didn't cuss around us, but she was really angry. She's really angry. I mean, really, really, really angry. And so my brother and my dad go, okay. So we'll go, take care of this. And they just left because there was no
getting a little bit too high.
there was no talking to her, and she didn't know what she was talking about. she didn't know what she was talking about, and the reason why we're having this conversation, doing this show, is because we, as citizens, this can be a fairly common thing.
It is.
It can be a fairly common thing that you get all, for various reasons, you get all emotional and all bent out of shape, and you can get angry and violent even because you have an opinion, but that opinion, and sometimes you're correct in your opinion, but you also have to be aware that you might not be correct. And so what we wanted to do, Sam, is talk about why your opinions might not be correct.
And I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I've seen a lot of that myself. I guess I could ask you a question. So in all the modern cars, say for the most modern car that you have that actually is a computer, have you ever had any issues with your car that was computer related, quote unquote, like electronic wise, with the function of the car?
Yeah.
But has it been mostly computer related issues or still mechanical with like other cars that you own?
So the specific example is I have this Volkswagen Golf, and it's been great in every way. The only thing that's a little weird in it is the entertainment system in it. Every once in a while, I think there's a little bit of something in the software, and it won't, it has Apple CarPlay, and I go to plug my phone in, and it won't pay attention to the phone.
I get that too.
or the other thing it does is it won't, I'll plug it in, and everything's working except for the sound. And so I figured out that there's a workaround, so I have to switch it to like a regular radio station. So I switch the mode of operation of the entertainment system, and then I switch it back, and something about that
is like, oh, now I see it.
Yes, redoes something.
Okay, so the reason why I asked that question is because like a lot of things I hear a lot, like when it comes to modern cars, is I'll hear people say that tired saying, oh, there's too much computerized stuff in these cars. That's one more thing to go wrong. My very first car was a 2003 GMC Envoy. Had a 6 CD changer, computerized, as some would say. Never had an issue like in any of the cars that I had. Electronically, I've never had a systems or programming issue that rendered my car undrivable. I have had O2 sensors go bad, exhaust systems mess up, brakes, all of the mechanical tried and true that everybody wants go bad, but yet so many people, even people younger than me. I was in a class with a guy that's like 22. He was like, oh yeah, I'll never get a truck over the year of like 2001 because all that computer stuff is just one more thing to go bad. And I'm like, but who do you know? Like, where does this come from? And they're like, oh yeah, all that is just one more thing to go bad. I wish, you understand how to fix cars. Like, I wish that it was just a programming issue because all I got to do is plug it in, reset it, and I'm good instead of paying for a $600 part and then another $200 in labor. It's like, and I mean, that's just one of those opinions to where it's like, everybody has that opinion, and it's like, at a certain point, your opinion almost becomes evangelical ignorance. Right. And you see, I experienced that as well. I mean, with my current job. I, in the course of a year, doubled my annual salary. Double. And I work roughly the same amount of time and get more time off. I've had people that don't even qualify for the job that I have. Like, don't even work for the company that I work for. They're contractors from outside. Come and tell me, oh, no, you don't want to do that because, oh, man, you'll have to do this, you'll have to do that. And even still tell me when I'm standing there in uniform doing the job that I'm doing, rather than asking me how it is, they're like, oh, yeah, y'all have to do this, y'all have to do that. And I'm like, I'm in uniform. You could just ask me. Like, you think that you're enlightening me to this? It's like you just heard someone else say that and you spread it on.
That's, yeah.
And even, I mean, I've even had friends to where I've tried to give them, just better opportunities and things to do. And they come and tell me, oh, well, I heard this and I heard that. And it's like, was the person who told you that doing what you're trying to do? Well, no. Like, they were in the same place that you're trying to get out of. Okay, then. They don't know what they're talking about. You heard it from someone and you're regurgitating it. And I've seen that with a lot of things. I mean, even a certain program. I've heard people that don't even qualify for it tell these people, oh, no, you don't want to do that. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do this. You have to do that. And I'm like, how would they know if they don't even qualify to look at the requirements? It's like, but people don't think about that. And those unfounded opinions like that, they prey on the minds of people that are just susceptible to that. I mean, even politics. I mean, it explains how, politics get passed from parents to their kids. How you can have kids in middle school claiming to be Republican, Democrat, whatever, and you can't even vote.
Excellent point.
You can't vote. You don't pay taxes, but you have all these opinions because of what you heard, and you're just regurgitating that. And that opinion grows with them. Even though they've never actually witnessed it, they were told, and rather than, I believe that opinions should be tried and reapplied based on the world around us. I mean, people would always say seeing is believing, but in the world of AI, seeing is now mind control.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe what you see, can't believe what you hear. You just have to use your discernment. Something that really can't really be taught. I mean, you just have to know and constantly reevaluate the world around you.
Constantly reevaluate.
And
I like that.
You have to. And I mean, and opinions are the same way.
Going back to your example about the electronic things, I think you're right about that, because and the comment about your mechanical failure thing. So where that sprung from is back in the 50s and 60s and things. Mm-hmm. Every time the automotive manufacturers back then added something, it was like a little relay or something that did the automatic windows or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was those relays that were always failing and stuff like that. It wasn't, yes.
And I mean,
and so they ended up, putting in hundreds or dozens or hundreds of these little relays to do all this stuff. And those things failed. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that kind of started the sentiment that more electronic stuff makes it fail. But you're right, it's with modern systems, because there's literally a computer sitting there. You reboot it, or update the software, and
my car's running funny. Just turn it off and turn it back on. You're good to go. No, you got to call a tow truck. You got a blown head gasket. Like, now you got to replace all this stuff. Or like my car out there, it's modified. The belts, didn't find out till my street racing days. The serpentine belt doesn't quite line up with the tensioner.
Oh,
it lines up at idle.
And regular really?
Speeds. But once you cross into a certain RPM range, which that car lives at, it gets slightly off and the belt will shred, and like a rubber band, it will pop and it will take out all of the plastic work that is in the front of that engine. It's about $900 to like every time it throws a belt. Now there is a fix for that, and I finally got it with a reinforced cooling and stuff, but that's just the way that it is. I wish that I could just reset that. It would make life a lot easier if I could just press a button and there we go. But instead, no, tow truck, fluid spilling out. Like, it actually popped one on the way here one day.
So apologies to the audience. This is the studio has its regular landscaping crew come by, and they have blowers to clean up stuff. So you might hear some blowers outside the window here. So the opinion thing and everything you're talking about is really great examples. And this is, and I wanted to also hit upon this because, I think we talked about this in another show or two, but there's all kinds of so-called news programs
Mm-hmm.
that are presented as news, but they're not
At all.
Their opinion. So, for example, the cable news network, CNN, one of the oldest kind of cable network around. And it has, I mean, when it first started, it was actually CNN. It was cable news network, and they had headline news, and they had like half-hour news programs, and the news programs were news. It was like, this happened, this is where it happened, this is what time it happened, such and such. But old Ted Turner, who was running CNN back in the day, started the thing. He's like, well, we're not making enough money. We're not getting enough audience. And, well, how do you do that? Well, then you start tapping into humans being human, which is, how can I antagonize them? How can I get them emotional?
Hate watch.
How can I get them, how can I hook them with emotion? The hooks for us, we have to admit it, folks, the hooks for humans are emotional things.
Exactly.
And so, CNN was CNN for a while, but after just a few years, they should have renamed it the Cable Opinion Network, the Con Network.
Exactly.
And that doesn't even get into the fact that it was wholly owned by a billionaire who could have influence on the programming.
Of course.
And then of course, then you get all the other networks, and so in direct opposition, because again, that's how you maximize your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Fox, so-called Fox News, sprung up,
Exactly.
owned by another billionaire, with the intent of, well, the Con Network is addressing kind of a little bit left-leaning audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the exact same thing, only with a more right-leaning audience.
Exactly.
And, and again, it's all about just, stoking the flames of hate and fear and mistrust and stuff like that, because we're humans. And this is exactly what we're susceptible to.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're, and we were talking before the show, it's, there's all kinds of opinions. You can have an opinion about the shirt you're wearing, or whether you like your shoes or not, or, all kinds of little tiny things. And don't give that much thought. That's fine. If you form an opinion you don't like chocolate ice cream, or you form an opinion that all these little things, don't care. Don't worry about it. That's fine. But those things, when you're starting to form an opinion about like your own health, are you taking, are you paying enough attention to your weight, or your maybe you have an insulin, sugar, diabetes issue, or whatever? Are you paying enough attention to these things?
Exactly.
And are you, and so your opinions about them, just your health, and then so there's your own personal health, and then there's the social health. And this is where, and again, the reason why we're kind of talking about this for a while today in this particular show is this, forming these opinions and then allowing yourself to get so emotional and so, well, the fancy word is ensconced, but cemented into this opinion. And that's because it's emotion. We get driven by emotion. And if we get to a certain place where we're angry enough about something, we just shut down.
Exactly. Nothing else can get in.
Nothing else can get in. But Ben's point is absolutely correct. You should be, especially those things that are really important, you should be constantly looking at,
Exactly.
is this, I was thinking this way, but I should make sure that I should still be thinking that way. And that means opening up your eyes, and we say this, clear-eyed, but listening to all sources of information, and then, trying to distill it, and it's not easy. And that's another thing about opinion, is especially for important opinions, we humans, we make decisions like on two time scales. There's a short term, which is kind of a fight or flight kind of response, and then there's a longer term thing. And any opinions that matter to you, you should be evaluating them like on a longer term thing. Like, should I sell my house or not?
Exactly.
Kind of a longer term, not a snap decision. You know, you don't wake up Tuesday morning and say, I think I'll sell my house today. No. Nor should you do that with important opinions about, you know, whatever you're doing. So you had some good examples. Do you have any other good examples that come to mind?
Just thinking. I mean, you know, as far as just expounding the way that you think about things. I mean, in general, like, people, like, you know, in this world, like, being progressive has somehow become a politicized thing too. When you would think that whether you're a Republican, Democrat, whoever, you should be progressive. The whole point of living life is to progress. I mean, we progress through our lives from childhood to adulthood to the end. I mean, if you would change your TV, you buy a new car, you'd update your fridge, or eventually sell your house and upgrade your house, you should also be evaluating your mindset the same way. You should be evaluating your opinions. Why do I feel this way? Okay, I thought this, but is what I'm seeing in the world aligning with what my opinion is? And I mean, just like you said, like, these days, I mean, just in general, it's human nature. You get so angry that you close off and shut down to everything. And the fact that, you know, we can't even have like simple conversations between people on different sides of the political spectrum because they're so quick to start insulting each other. Your opinion, rather than trying to come to an understanding, is about changing your opinion rather than understanding each other and taking away something different of, you know what, you're not what I thought. You know what, you're not what I thought. You got some good ideas. I want to think about that and evaluate what you said. That's it. Open your mind. Does it still hold up? I mean, everything that we know about modern history can be changed in an instant.
Yeah, and you make me think of another point that we've tried to make in other shows, but definitely make it again here, is this thing about having sides. No, and so we're humans, and we have a tendency to want to be part of a family, a tribe, a community, and stuff like that. And that's a thing. That's something that exists, and it's kind of a natural thing for us to want to do. But what's happening is, and has been happening forever and ever and ever, is that the small percentage of us, the really bad people, the truly bad people, they have understood that this is true, and then they use it to manipulate us. They convince us that there are sides, when really there isn't. And we were talking the other day about this, immigration, for example. People have all kinds of opinions about immigration, and they're driven by the fact that our political parties, which, by the way, the founders of our nation, guys like Washington and Adams and others, were vehemently opposed to their existence of political parties, because they saw that the political parties would try to divide and the worst people among us, again, not the average people that are identify as part of these political parties, but the leaders would use this influence to try to screw things up, to try to cause them, the leaders, to get popularity, to get power, to get wealth. And all it does is it just causes chaos and hate and fear, and our lives should be free of those things. But all they are doing is instead is instilling that in us. And so immigration is an example. We have a problem, and it's a real one. We have a long southern border, and there's because of the bad people that run countries south of us, And again, they use the same sort of tactics on their people, right? So, but anyway, so you got horrible people leading these nations, and of course, the people that are under them are in really bad shape. They're starving. They're they've got nothing and whatever, and so they look at the United States, and all of us over time have always said, oh, this is the land of opportunity. And it can be, and often is, and people look at it and say, well, it's way better there, so I'm going to go.
Exactly.
Right? And this has been true forever. All of my grandparents were immigrants. They happen to be from Europe, and not Central America or South America, but all of my grandparents were immigrants because they came from Europe back in the day because the United States was a better opportunity. So they came here. But anyways, so the southern border, it's a long border, and there's people that want to come because the governments south of us are god-awful terrible, abuse the crap out of those people, and so these people want to come across our border. Exactly. That's the problem. And the solution is we, the extraordinary ordinary people, need to, of course, we need to regulate that. We need to make sure that, that people that we want crossing in an appropriate way, because there would be, hundreds of millions of people that would just cross the border if it's like literally open. So we can't handle that. There's too much chaos, too much border crossing. So, all right. But what happens instead is you get the political parties, and they want there to be no solution about immigration. So for example, on February 10th, they had this long hearing on nationally televised television on multiple channels. And all it was the Republicans, for 5 minutes saying how great they were and bashing the Democrats, and then the Democrat taking their 5-minute turn saying how great the Democrats were and bashing Republicans. And it's all
back and forth.
All about pushing your opinions, ladies and gentlemen, trying to keep you completely divided over an issue that, you think about it, it's really not different than your son or daughter breaks a leg and you go to the hospital, right? The problem is their leg is broken and you need it fixed. You don't need to be debating whether the tile should be blue or green in the clinic and all that kind of junk. But that's, if you get these bad people involved, that's what they have you doing. They have you start debating over whether the tile should be blue or red or all this,
and not really looking at a real solution to the actual problems. And we're left holding the bag because we're paying them for that.
Yes. And we're paying in many ways. Okay, we pay their salaries, but also we pay because people wonder how all the wealth has migrated to a small percentage of our population. It's because they've divided and conquered. They've divided and conquered. And then the other thing, we, as I said earlier in the show, Ben and I and the rest of us, and anybody, watching or listening, your life should be good.
It should be.
It should be free of hate, fear, and injustice. You should be, hey, this is pretty good. You should be laughing and smiling. Not always. Life is not perfect.
No,
but a lot. And you just think about how much the political parties, how much time they spend just trying to generate anger in you in any way, shape, or form that they can.
Exactly. And if you really need to find an example of that, for those of you that work or live in communities, even the same neighborhood, think about it. If we work the same job, how is it possible for the political powers that be to work better for my coworker than they do for me when we both get our money from the same place? It doesn't make sense. If we have the same exact job, we make the same amount of money per hour, how is the government doing better for you than they are for me? We're worth the same. On paper, to them, we're the same. It's capitalism.
Yeah.
We have the same capital. We're both in the middle class. So how is it that it's so great for you and so miserable for me? Unless you're being told that and you're being evangelical in your ignorance of the opinions you were given.
That's really, yes, that's absolutely correct. They are driving us to this place where we're warring with each other for no reason. Well, I mean, the valid reason is that they are doing this to us.
Mm-hmm.
They are, using propaganda, pressing, creating these issues to divide us, and then, yelling and screaming about it's all label and blame, 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 divide and conquer. And it all exists because of the political parties. And again, we mentioned this earlier in the show, I'll say it one more time, just to emphasize it. The founders of this country, the guys who wrote the Declaration of Independence, the guys who wrote the Constitution, the guys who fought and died in our Revolutionary War, those guys were fervent believers that the political parties should not exist.
For this very reason.
For this very reason. They had seen enough, there was enough history elsewhere in the world up to that point. They knew, and if you want the document that I've read recently is Washington's farewell address to the nation. It's in there. Pull it up. It will take you a second. Do a search, Washington's farewell address, and right in the middle of it, there's pages of Washington. Now, it's a little bit older language, not modern English, but still, so it's a little bit harder to read, but it's clear. It's crystal clear when you read it, even if the language is a little bit tough to read through. Mm-hmm. It's crystal clear what he's talking about. And so, in summary, anyone, of course, can have an opinion about anything, and fine. And the opinions are, if they're small things like, again, I like your shirt, or I don't like your shirt, or, I like my shoes, or I don't like my shoes, or whatever. Who cares? But the instant that you start feeling strong emotions about things, then you need to step back and say, okay, why am I feeling these emotions? What's driving me to feel these emotions? Mm-hmm. And is it in my best interest to do that? And then, how knowledgeable are you about this thing? Because there's countless examples. We're not going to go on. I mean, we could cite hundreds of examples where you hear people, they're demonstrating in the street, and they're holding a placard, and they're screaming something, and then a reporter walks up and says, "Well, your sign says this, so have you read the statute on that or whatever?" No.
No. I mean, a lot of these YouTube videos, that's what I like about a lot of that style of reporting, because that's what Vice News was at first. It was, this is going on in this area. Let's go to people that are there, not a news affiliate. Like, here is somebody who's just going to give you this opinion, or like that video that I sent you with this guy just out on the street just asking people. And when you watch the video, it's like, you can form your own opinion, because he just heard about this going on in this certain community, literally got out in the streets, and he's asking people, hey, what do you have to say to people that believe this about your community? What do you have to say about people that believe this? And you just watch and you observe and you see it. It's like not even anyone pushing this saying, hey, they're doing this, they're doing that. Like, no, he's asking, and whatever the thing is, either prove or disprove. You see and form your opinion for yourself. I like those style of reporting. And I think that we need more of that, because if you think about somebody who's really delivering news, how can news be politically affiliated?
It shouldn't be, but again, as we talked about earlier, that's why they do it.
And the fact that they can, it's an art form in itself, but it's news. It either happened or it didn't.
So what they do is they say, well, And today in Iran, these bombs were dropped. And then let's go to a panel of 5 people to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because it's the opinion
And it's
network.
always one person that's a bait. So you can always tell who is like, oh yeah, here's 4 people that agree and 1 that doesn't. It's like, just watch them all rip each other apart. It's like, wow.
It's all intentional. Mm-hmm. It's all intentional because, again, the wellspring, the source is the political parties. And that's why citizen statesmanship, we're going to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. It's going to be awesome. We're going to get rid of them. So again, just to finalize the summary here on the opinion. So how much weight should you put in your opinion? Well, how much work have you done to really understand it? As Ben was talking about, have you watched and observed and seen things, you might have opinions about what's going on at the border. Well, why? What, based on what? Little snippets of videos, some commentator saying, I think this is happening, or some politician saying this is happening, and, whatever. No, I mean, if you really want to, go to the border. Go to the border.
Yeah.
Well, go and stand there at the border, start talking to people that live right there. And then, especially, again, if it's important to you, if you're going to get all fired up about it and scream and yell at everybody that walks by about immigration, make sure you know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Make sure you know what you're talking about.
Ask a question. I mean, if you know someone that immigrated here, I mean, I've heard that so many times about people, oh yeah, do it legally. Just do it the legal way. And I'm like, a lot of people don't even understand it. It's not easy to immigrate from certain countries. It's not one cut and dry process. It's easier for some, a lot harder for others. And they don't even understand that. Like,
right.
I mean, and so many people, I mean, I've had conversations with people when they have these opinions, and I just ask, do you even understand what it takes to come here? Well, they just go through the legal process. Like, why? Like, we work with people that have gone through the system. Have you ever just asked them? Because I did. Sure. When I saw all of this, I asked, like, so what's the real story? I was like, why is it an issue to come here legally? Like, how does that work? And when they break it down and you understand it, it's like, I mean, wow, like that is, if you can meet some of the criteria that they require from some of these countries, you wouldn't even come here. I mean, it'd be like Canada telling us like, hey, before you can come here, you got to prove that you have $1 million net worth. Well, if I'm a millionaire in America, I'm pretty good. Why would I want to go there? I don't want to go there to work at McDonald's when I'm a millionaire here. Like, no, I'm good. Like, so it's things like that. I mean, literally just talking to people rather than forming your opinion off of the news. You see people. Chances are there's people in your circle affected by everything that you see. Just talking to people and having a conversation. You don't have to agree, even if you disagree. Find somebody that you disagree with and ask them. Don't try to change their opinion. Ask them why they have them. I mean,
exactly. Listen.
Exactly. And I mean, at least have an understanding. That's it. Don't listen to someone else that agrees with you, telling you why you shouldn't agree with these people. Go ask. Go talk to them.
Right. And again, news these days, is masquerading for opinion. It's opinion and propaganda. Mm-hmm. And that's really any of the so-called news channels, news outlets, news media, it's all opinion. It's not news. So you need to approach it that same way. And again, as far as your opinions, and especially the most important ones, not about whether you like, chocolate ice cream or not, but the important ones that have to do with your family and society and stuff like that. How much have you really thought it through? Have you given it, is your opinion based on some kind of snap judgment? Because that's bad thinking for humans. That's the fight or flight response, and we don't do well there, except for the scenario where we fight or flight. But other than that, making decisions that way is terrible. And so you really need to think things through and solicit a lot of information and look for the news, which is who, what, where, when.
That's it. Just the facts.
Just the facts. Okay, so as we wind up the show, we want to point out that we're volunteers. and ambassadors, and you need to join us. This is the solution. Citizen statesmanship. We're going to get rid of the political parties,
Yes.
which are driving all this stuff, which is one of the reasons why we did this show. We felt like we had to do this show because of the stupid political parties.
Exactly.
Again, and not when I say stupid political parties, I'm not talking about the average person that identifies maybe as a Democrat or Republican or some other, but I'm talking about the leaders and the horrible people that they groom to fill the elected offices. There's a tiny percentage of us, and the leaders of the political parties are horrible, and you know it. And we've said this in past shows too. It's like if you identify as a Democrat and you say those Republicans lie all the time, and then or if you identify as a Republican and you say those Democrats, they lie all the time. Well, you're right.
Exactly.
You're all right, because the political parties shouldn't exist. Washington and Adams and all those guys, they were right. We shouldn't have freaking political parties.
Exactly.
And so citizen statesmanship is going to be the mechanism that replaces all that with honest, good, hardworking people, like all of us.
That are in society, leave society to serve society, and return to the world that you create. It is time for our political leaders to live in what they create for us and stop hiding behind the walls of our tax money and election donations.
Excellent. Very well said, Dan. Very well said. So our next show is brimming with awesome sauce. It's called We Are Ignorant of Our Power. Join us, won't you?
Goodbye for now.